We are rolling. Big 105.9, the Paul Castronovo Show, 40-something years on the air, and backed by popular demand. Kevin Smith, who I don't think, I've known you a long time professionally, but you haven't seen Skinny Paul, and I've not seen, other than on TV or on social media, Skinny Kevin. So here we are, face to face. It's better, isn't it?
It is. First off, good morning. Second off, yes, it's better, and not because like the aesthetic. I've been married for 27 years, and she loved me when I went like this. Like, she gained weight when she got pregnant with the kid, and then I gained sympathy weight, and then I just kept going for years, and then eventually wound up with me having a massive heart attack. So afterwards, I had like full blockage in the artery, the LAD that goes across my heart. So the nutritionist in the hospital, was like, you had 100% blockage. You might want to think about trying a plant-based diet. My kid was vegan, so she was like, please try. And I said, all right, I'll give it a shot for like 2 months. And that was almost 8 years ago. My cardiologist quit on me back in March. And I said, why should I get a different cardiologist? And he goes, no. He's going, now you just need a GP. And for the rest of your life, if you feel anything in your heart, then you go to a cardiologist. He's going, but if you're going to die from something, it's not your heart, which was reassuring for somebody who almost died from a massive heart attack. So
how many years ago?
I went vegan, and that's how I lost my weight. Long story short, but they saved my life, but they took all the wonderful things to eat out of it. So I used to be happy, but now I'm vegan.
You're all bound up in time. I know. I'm married to a vegetarian. I get it, but she cheats and eats fish. So she goes, do you ever do the fish thing?
Never. And it's weird. My kid was vegan 3 years before me. And when I went vegan, like, I don't know how to explain it or how to describe it, but I've not backslid. I've never secretly like, I'm going to have a burger or something like that, or drink milk. They've got aggregates of what I used to eat and stuff, so I don't miss anything. But I do have dreams sometimes where like I will eat, not like I want to eat meat, but I wind up eating meat. And then I'm like, how am I going to explain this to my kid? Like it feels like I cheated on my kid in some weird way. But it is, I will say this. When I became vegan, and by virtue of the fact that, all the fun food goes away, weight fell off. So my whole life, I've been trying to lose weight, exercising, joining gyms and all this stuff. And it wasn't until I was 47, 48 that I found out, oh my God, simply by going vegan and eliminating the things that you put on the weight for me, the weight fell off without me doing it. But now when the weight comes off, kids, then you feel like doing more. So now, like, I hike, I do 10,000 steps every day and whatnot. And probably it came along at a good time, because I'm closer to the grave than I've ever been in my entire life.
As we all are.
Every day.
We all know fat. Don't we all know fat vegetarians? I mean, it's weird, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I don't know how it happens. You did it right. So anyway, the reason Kevin Smith, the legendary director and actor and comedian and podcaster, is on the radio with us is because he's doing Thursday and Friday night at the Miami Improv. So you got a 7:30 and then Friday on Thursday and then Friday.
So wait, you know the area, Paul. Like everyone, I get two pieces of information. People like I'm like, I'm at the Miami Improv. They're like, you're at Doral.
It's Doral. It's Doral, and it's Miami.
It's still Miami. Is it the way that like Greenwich Village is Manhattan as well? It's just another name for
it. Greenwich Village is a neighborhood in Manhattan. Doral is a suburb of Miami. It's in Miami-Dade County. How's that?
That works, but they can call it the Miami Improv.
100%. It's Miami. Yeah. It's just like, that is weird, I guess. Because
so, I mean, look, I ain't fighting it.
If it was if it was in Coral Springs, you would not call it the Fort Lauderdale Improv. How about that?
Lord, somewhere upstairs in this house, my wife, raised in Coral Springs, just snapped awake, hearing the words.
You told us that a long time ago. And
I
I
was
was
just
hoping to see you in
actually,
a
I was
hockey.
in Florida, but like when I think of Florida, naturally, I always think of the area by my mom. She lives in Groveland with my brother now. But I was just
How
there,
is
man,
that? Wait,
like 2 weeks ago. My Lord. Like for the first, we went to Disney as a family, which was very sweet.
oh,
But while I was there,
too
I
hot.
went through one set of clothing, just sweating, and I had to
Yeah.
buy clothing while I was there. I mean, I'm sure I'm not saying telling a tale that most people in Florida don't understand. You go through at
Oh,
least two sets of clothes a day.
people ask me all the time, Paul, why do you go to Maine in the summer? I go, just walk outside. That ought to clue you
Is
in.
that where you are?
Yeah, yeah. I'm at my cottage up in Maine. Here, hold on. Let me show you out the front window. Anyway, this
Look at
is
you. And did I hear before 40 years? Good Lord, man.
this is year 41. I know it's ridiculous. I only look like I'm only 41 years old.
No kidding. I mean, don't you like,
Yeah.
could you imagine when you started the gig? Did you think like, I'm going to be doing this 4 decades? Did you hope or did you
No,
think,
I got into radio. I got into radio to meet girls. I swear, just like guys
yeah,
going to get into bands to meet girls. That's why you probably went into the film business. I don't know. I mean, it's the only
no, I
occupation we
went into
have.
the film business. I'm an entertainer because what I went to the Nut House a couple years ago and they diagnosed me and they told me I was a codependent people pleaser who cannot validate himself. The reason I've done everything I've done is because I was never good enough for me. I needed strangers to be like, good job, Kevin. Like it's so crazy because like I have people who absolutely love me and will tell me to my face every day how wonderful I am and stuff. Can't hear it, need to hear it from a bunch of people whose faces I don't even know, a bunch of people in the dark going, well done. They're the ones that validate my existence. So ever since I got out of that house, I've been trying to learn how to validate myself. It's weird because I'm not complaining. The brokenness, whatever of me, led to me doing what I do for a living. That need, that aching need. So I need people who don't know who I am to say I'm cool. Drove me toward a
You
cool
could
job, which I've been in now for
maybe
like
you could
about four
diagnose
decades to
me.
three. What's that?
Diagnose me because I thought I wanted to be an entertainer. I wanted to be an
You
actor.
you put it right on
Saturday,
Front Street. You were like, I'm on to meet girls. That just makes absolute sense.
well, Saturday. I wanted to be on Saturday Night Live, and I didn't know how to get there. And so
So
I
did
went
I.
into
Oh my
stand-up.
God, Paul. So did I. That was my dream. But like when I was a
My
child,
goal.
I didn't want to be on it. I wanted to write for SNL. That was it. I didn't
Ah,
dream about being in front of the camera. I thought maybe once in a while I'll be in the background or something, but I wanted to write for SNL so badly.
but there was
I
no
failed,
path I
Paul. Like
knew.
my life
Like
has
what?
been one giant failure professionally
Giant
based
failure.
on
Yeah.
what I wanted to do when I was at 12 years old.
But yeah, I mean, but you accomplished so much. I mean, inside you, you had mall rats and clerks. I mean, it's genius. And can we shift gears, Kevin Smith? Because I know you got
Yes.
the gig, but can we talk about can we fix the movie industry? Is it possible?
Yeah, somebody better than me will figure it out. I mean, look,
Yeah.
my movies never made the movie industry go. They weren't necessarily the fuel of the movie industry, like a James Cameron or something like, or the Marvel movies.
Right. But
But I just heard a heartening story on Instagram this morning. There have been about 6 spec scripts that sold in August, and that spec script selling doesn't seem to happen in this business as much as it used to. Back in the late
yeah,
80s, early 90s, and the aughts, you would always hear about like Good Will Hunting started as a spec script. The boys wrote it. They sold it to Castle Rock for 800,000 in 1995. So the spec script market has been dead for quite some time, just like the business has been odd and dying, as everyone says, for some time. But the idea that a bunch of spec scripts just sold, that's heartening. That means there's a bunch of people going like, oh no, we're going to make things. The other thing is why they conjectured in the piece that they've been selling is because when your business is like Marvel and DC and Star Wars and all these giant brands, those movies take a long time, take a lot of resources. They forgot in the rush for the dollar that like sometimes $20 million movie, 30, there used to be a whole business full of mid-range budget movies, man, like movies that didn't cost 100 million, cost anywhere from like 20 to 50 million, and they made movies for people that weren't necessarily into big action movies or sci-fi flicks or Marvel or DC or Star Wars franchise films.
I read.
Like
something the other
remember
day that's like,
I'm not saying like things are not the way they used to be. I don't want to sound like an old man yelling at clouds, but
too late.
something like A Simple Plan, the Sam Raimi movie that's based on the book. It's got Bill Paxton and what's his name, Billy Bob Thornton and Bridget Fonda, and it's based on a wonderful book, and it's about finding money and everything goes wrong and stuff like that. They wouldn't make that as a movie today. They would make it as a 6-episode streaming series.
Yes.
2 episodes of which you wouldn't necessarily need but they were padding.
Sometimes I need a beginning, a middle, and an end, and I need to go on my life. I don't need to watch 10 episodes. I appreciate it, and I do like to binge, but sometimes I go, honey, I just need to finish something tonight, and then we can talk about it.
It's crazy how many things will jump to the top of the list based on, is it just one thing and we're done? Like, this is not a commitment of multiple days. Like, there was something we watched the other night where I was like, it's only 90 minutes. Oh, there was the Jussie Smollett. Yes, the Smollett documentary, which was like not just like kept me entertained or gripped or interested, but I didn't know the rest of the story. Like the story kept going on beyond the obvious. So, but the key, I'm not like, ooh, I love stories like this, but what drew us in was, oh Lord, it's under 2 hours. Like, as opposed to like, we're investing 8 to 12 hours to watch this.
So Kevin Smith at the Miami Improv Thursday night and then Friday night, 2 shows. Are you doing stand-up? Are you telling stories? What do you got going?
Yeah, generally, I used to do Q&A and I'd get up there and make the audience ask me a question and then give an answer. But I've gotten to the place now where it's like, all right, well, I can come up with like, I got 2 hours of things to say minimum. Generally what happens,
one of the great talkers. You're a great talker.
Oh my God, you're so sweet. I do love to talk about myself. And when you're doing comedy, generally it's kind of, this story happened to me. I'm more anecdotal than anything else. I'm not like observational. Like, did you ever notice? I'm like, all right, here's a 20-minute story that hopefully will keep you entertained the whole time. So yeah, I've been, on stage forever, ever since Clerks. When I made Clerks in the beginning, I didn't intend to do stand-up comedy, but they make you do Q&A at the end of a movie. They push you out on stage to answer for your flick. And because of that, like, I couldn't speak, with erudition about filmmaking. I'd only ever made 1 movie. So instead I was like, oh, let me tell you how we got the cat to go to the bathroom on camera on cue. And, that felt more natural to me. Like, if you're going to put a mic in somebody's hand and put them in front of an audience, they should at least try to be informative, which I couldn't be, or entertaining at the very least. And it grew a side hustle for me where sometimes I just stand on stage and talk about stuff. Like, it's crazy. Honestly, I make more money standing on stage and talking about making movies than I do making movies.
That doesn't make sense.
That leads to my next question here, which is, we always talk on the show about these conventions and how people make money. Because like down here at Miami Improv or Miami Convention, whatever they call it, like Jeremy Renner was there, and Paul's like, why is Jeremy Renner going there?
How the hell did they pay Jeremy Renner enough money to go there? Yeah.
Not to ask your personal financials, but like a guy like that at a convention, how much money are they walking out of there with?
If I had to guess, like, I remember at one point in convention land, like back in the early 90s or the mid 90s, like there was me and Jay, Ray Park, Lou Ferrigno, and like big movie stars didn't go to those cons. And then post, Marvel, you start like, I went to one con once where they were like, oh, Chris Evans is here. And I was like, Captain America? And they said it was a 6-figure one-day appearance. So that's...
I don't care who you are. You make $100,000 or more for a day.
And let me tell you how easy that money is, kids, because what you're doing is, and I do it all the time as well. I don't make that kind of money. I wish I was Captain America, but I do make decent money for Silent Bob 30 years into his career.
It's awesome.
What it is like meeting a bunch of people who just want to tell you how important you are. Like, could you imagine they were giving you those 6 figures, but everyone got to punch you in the nuts? That would actually kind of make sense.
That's still,
you're paying me. I better instead they give you money and people come up to you and go like, can I tell you the story of how my mom was in the hospital dying of cancer, but we watched your movie together, and some of my best memories of my mom in the worst years of her life is watching her laugh at something you made. You know, people, they don't pay money to come up and be like, I hate you and everything you stand for. They can do that for free on the internet. If they're going to like take their time and go to a con and wait in line and pay all that money, it is crazy how they don't demand, I don't know, justice. If I was waiting in line and paying like $100, $150 to take a photo with somebody like me, when I got up to the photo, I'd be like, can you explain yoga hosers to me or give me my money back? You know what I'm saying? I would demand a little justice in that moment, but nobody does that. It's this warm, wonderful experience where people just love on you.
Kevin Smith has to explain. Well, I looked at your IMDb. That's it's one of my favorite apps, Moose Jaws.
Yeah, I will one day. I got to make it before I can speak for it. But there's a movie I've been trying to make for a decade, which shows you, like, I get to do a lot of fun and cool things. I don't get to do everything I want. Some things I have to talk about into existence. You got to talk them into reality. So Moose Jaws is my it's a movie I've been desperate to make for 10 years. It's Jaws, but with a moose instead of a shark. And it's ridiculous and fun and wonderful.
Well, and mooses swim. They do swim, Mike.
Part of it scientifically, man. By the way, scientifically. And also number 2 killer of human beings in the animal kingdom right after hippos.
Really? They
are. Yeah, because most people run into moose during the rutting season, and they will just, they're not man eaters, but they will mow you down and stuff. They're huge. They rut you.
Kevin Smith, Miami Improv, Thursday night at 7:30, and then Friday and Saturday. I'm sorry, Friday night, 7:30 and 10:30. Tickets at MiamiImprov.com. Hold 1 second, because I want to stick you into the Castronovo grill. 10 questions. You only get 3 passes, and you have to answer within 10 seconds.
Oh my God, done and done. I can't wait.
Welcome back to the Paul Castronovo Show, starring Kevin Smith, the famed director, who's at the Miami Improv Thursday night at 7:30, and then Friday at 7:30 and 10:30. You should go see him because he's entertaining, and he's Kevin friggin' Smith. MiamiImprov.com. I always love talking to you, man. You're the best.
All Likewise, right. Man. And look at us. We're the pictures of health.
Well, better than we used to be. I can tell you that.
Why did we figure it out late in life? But, I'm glad we figured it out, period. And honestly, I'd make the argument that if I had to pick a time in my life to be healthier in my youth or in my middle to late ages, now is the time. Like, there's a chance I might have added years to my life.
You had the heart attack. I was thinking I was going to have one, and that's what made me do it. You
skipped it. You skipped the terrible step.
I was worried. I mean, like, when you're sweating and you're out of breath and you're uncomfortable and the fattest guy in a room, and you got a wife who's always been thin, it always weighed on my mind. I didn't want to be the fattest guy in a room. And the pandemic, I figured it out. But that's not why we're here. We're here to put you in the Castronovo grill.
Done and done. Grill me.
I got 10 questions. You got 10 seconds. You can get 3 passes. You win $10 million. What's the first stupid thing you buy?
Oh, man.
The 10-second thing doesn't matter.
Quick Stop Convenience, the convenience store where I shot clerks.
Oh man, I thought you would have already owned that thing.
I came close. We almost bought it a couple of years ago, and then they decided not to sell it. So instead, we bought a movie theater in New Jersey called Smodcastle Cinemas. I've owned a movie theater with my friends, the same movie theater I grew up going to. We now own. And let me tell you, kids, if you ever get a chance to buy your childhood movie theater, skip it, because my God, what a financially horrible decision it was. We are a nonprofit business because we need your help at all times.
You didn't know it was going to be a wreck. All right, no. Kevin Smith, question: What's your most controversial opinion about pizza?
It can't have cheese on it. I'm a vegan.
Oh, they're vegan. You can't do it. Oh,
I eat a lot of red pie, kids. I ate a lot of red pie. So if I'm around, sometimes you go into a pizza place, a lot of pizza places now do vegan cheese, but I actually prefer red pie at that point. Between vegan cheese and red pie, I would always kind of go red pie. So I know that's controversial. Most people are like, that ain't pizza. That's bread with sauce on
it. Look at you. What are you, 32 waist, for crying out loud? It's unbelievable.
Oh, I wish. God, I wish. One day. When I'm rotting in my casket, I will have that 32-inch waist I've always dreamed.
That's horrific. Who is your irrational celebrity crush?
Seth Meyers. But I would argue that it's rational. I think he's very clever, funny, urbane,
I love him,
smart.
Hysterical guy. You're stranded on a deserted island. What fast food place are you hoping washed up with you?
Veggie Grill.
Yeah,
next level Veggie Grill.
What about a Taco Bell? I know vegans. Well, maybe not.
They
vegans,
do have
and
props. Well done. There are vegan options. If I'm in a place where there's no dirty vegan comfort food that I'm looking for, I go to two places: Burger King, get an Impossible Whopper, which is always weird because I'm vegan. Give me an Impossible Whopper, but leave off the lettuce and tomato and pickles and stuff because I hate vegetables. I'm a bad vegan. But the other place is Taco Bell, and you can ask for it's crazy.
Skinny.
A cheesy bean and rice burrito, but without the cheese, and it's totally vegan.
All right, back to the Castronovo Grill with Kevin Smith. This is a good one for you. What is your favorite action movie?
Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
Counts, unless you want to go back to the 80s. We're talking 80s action movie.
Let's go 80s because I think superhero is its own genre. Action movies are kind of.
I know some people want to section it out into fantasy, but it's action. But let's see if we're going straight up 80s action. All time.
Under Siege.
Indiana Jones, Raiders Lost Ark.
Oh, Indiana Jones. Yeah, there you go. That's pretty strong, buddy.
Yeah, that defines the action movie for me.
You get one song to listen to for the rest of your life. What is it? That's tough.
Talking Heads, Once in a Lifetime.
God, I love you. I keep
saying.
Or
can I have a sub one? Can I get a sub one? So, Band on the Run is 3 songs in one. Yeah, 3 different songs slammed together. So maybe just for quantity.
Yeah, it's the perfect song, by the way. It really is. I wonder if McCartney's like, yeah, I did that without the Beatles, just so you know.
Could you imagine? Yeah, it's just like you did everything, you're part of a legendary quartet, and then you're like, oh, and then later on as a side hustle, I also created this with Wings.
The Talking Heads the piece of this conversation is interesting because David Byrne just came out and said, yeah, you're never going to see us reunite. And I'm just going to do my David Byrne stuff. And it really kills me because, that's a stadium tour. Then if Talking Heads got on the phone with REM and said, hey, you guys want to go out and make a couple of billion? Let's go. I'm there no matter where it is.
I think what was it? A24 maybe re-released Stop Making Sense 2 years ago. And it did business in the movie theaters. So while it was out there doing business, they got together and they toured and they did press. But I guess it was a Live Nation. The word I read, maybe it was a story, offered them a
big number,
crazy number. And naturally, the other 3 kids were like, hell yeah. And David Byrne
was like, I'm good. I'm signing me up. Yeah. What's your favorite guilty pleasure TV show?
Currently Peacemaker. Good Times. They just dropped the first episode of season 2 on HBO Max. But let me think. All time, Rocky and Bullwinkle. The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle.
You know what? It's so funny you say that. You and I should have been friends in real life. When my son was born, I know, but you know what I mean? Like when we were kids and stuff. Because when my son was born, I was like, okay, I can't wait to show him The Wizard of Oz and Rocky and so I went to Target and I bought a Rocky and Bullwinkle DVD and I sat it down like 7 or 8 and now a little poem and he went, yeah, Dad, I don't know.
What you hear is the sound. That's game recognizing game. That's a strong Bullwinkle right there, man.
Spider on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all? I can't.
Honestly, I would impress my wife lately by dropping some Bullwinkle impressions. But June Foray, in an interview, she was the voice of Rocky the Flying Squirrel and Natasha Patel. She said every man has a Bullwinkle impression. And I think it's something innately that dudes can do or something like that. But hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat. Maybe it's just because we watch.
We hope you'll really like.
That's fantastic. I mean, you could literally go out and do a one-man show as Rocky and Bullwinkle.
That's right. I'm going to ace up. Boris, but they playing. All right. One more question in the Castronovo Grill. What movie have you seen more than 10 times? What that was.
Avengers Endgame is one of them. The JFK is another, the Oliver Stone movie. Jaws, absolutely. Star Wars, Raiders. Let me see. Let me think of more obscure movies. All right, my five. When people used to ask me, "What are your favorite films?" When I first got in the business, I would say Jaws, JFK, A Man for All Seasons, Do the Right Thing, and The Last Temptation of Christ. So I've seen all of those movies more than 10 times. But that was a long time ago. It was 30 years ago. That was my list. It's probably been updated and changed since then. But here's another one: The Talented Mr. Ripley. For a long stretch, we would put that movie on to go to bed. That was like the sleeping, the comfort blanket, security blanket movie. So I watched that movie a lot, which is crazy because the first time I saw it, like I was very dismissive. I was like, it's just pretty people doing pretty things. But it is pretty, like Matt's performance is great. Jude Law is wonderful. Like Goop is great in it as well. Gwyneth.
Kev, can I ask you, have you ever gone back, because it just happened to me last night, I went back to watch Event Horizon, and I'm like, tell my girlfriend how it's one of
that one. Remember that moment, man, when they just like show you hell on earth on the ship?
Oh yeah, it's like flashing. Yeah.
Yes.
But I watched it, and it wasn't as good as I remembered. And there's been a few films like that, and it still was good, but it wasn't what I remembered, maybe because I was younger when I watched it the first time. But any films like that for you where you go back and you're like,
you know what? It's not that I went back. It's not that I went back and had a retcon. That happens in my work all the time. Like people on the internet go like, I watch Mallrats, doesn't hit anymore. I'm like, well, we are 50 in our 50s. But let me see. I during the pandemic, the kid was still here in the house. This is before she bought her own place and moved out. But so she was still here. And I said, oh my God, we're gonna watch Labyrinth. I never showed you Labyrinth. And I watched Labyrinth with her, and she was, I think, like in her 20s at that point. She's 26 now. And, I was like, you can feel a vibe when you're watching a thing. And she was not against it, but you could tell she was more tolerating it because it meant something to me. And after it was done, I was like, did it hit? And she goes, not as much as it would have in childhood. She's like, that probably is one we could have watched when I was a kid. I was like, yeah, I guess, but it's a magical movie. But so it wasn't me. It wasn't like, it let me down years later. The person I watched it with, who I consider the closest thing to a twin I have on this planet, me and the kid like look like each other and think like each other and stuff like that. So it's very weird and rare when we split. And it's not like she was like, I hate Labyrinth, but she was like, it's okay. And I was like, I failed as a parent.
Godfather, Few Good Men, that thing you do.
Wow. No, that doesn't get a lot of love, man. That's nice. That's Tom Hanks' first directorial debut.
There's a scene in that movie when the kids first hear their song on the radio for the first time. And I get emotional thinking that, I've done that for people. I played their song on the radio for the first time. And the reaction is so priceless. I get goosebumps when I see it. It's a sweet movie. Tom Hanks is so friggin' cool. They got Mr. Downtown in that movie. I don't know. I just think it's
I'm
great.
going to be honest with you. You just you dictated my day. Like just your talk about that scene also gave me chills. I was like, I'm going to go watch that, man. I haven't seen that in a red hot minute. I remember that and
incredibly beautiful.
Liv Tyler's monologue where she's like, I have wasted 1,000
so many kisses on you.
So many kisses on you. Yeah.
Do you, I don't see you in the hockey jersey. You look really nice. Are you still doing it? And do you have a Panther jersey after we won the thing?
Naturally, boy, the Sunbelt State lifting how many cups at this point? It's crazy.
Dude, and I was
almost a dynasty team at this point.
I got a call from a friend of mine mid-show the morning of the Stanley Cup. I didn't have a ticket. He goes, hey, man, somebody dropped out. Are you interested in going? I'm like, you don't have to ask me twice. And it was one of the greatest nights. I've seen a World Series and not a Super Bowl with my Dolphins, but seeing that Stanley Cup was pretty impressive.
Yes. I mean, number one, like there was a part of me this year that really wanted to see Canadians hoist the cup, but was not to be again. But to go back to the question, oddly enough, and this is not, I don't know if it's psychological or what, but after the last time I wore hockey jerseys on the regular was when I had the heart attack. The night I almost died, I was wearing a hockey jersey.
Oh, so it's
so, but I don't think it's me going, I won't wear them anymore because I'm superstitious. But I think it has more to do with the fact that after that night, like I went vegan the next day, started losing weight, and me and hockey jerseys had more to do with my size than anything else. Back then, I would say it was the fat guy's moo-moo. So I moved away from them, not because I'm like, oh man, I'm superstitious, but because I got to a place where I was like, you mean I don't have to wear a hockey jersey? Like that was like my sweatpants kind of thing. You know, some people.
Mine was the Hawaiian, the large Hawaiian type.
Big Hawaiian shirt. Yeah.
That just covers everything. Double X.
That was a hockey jersey, man. It was, you could live in it and walk around, and you could gain and lose 20 to 30 pounds under a hockey jersey, and people wouldn't necessarily know. You had to
even know.
Yeah.
This has been a very cathartic conversation with Kevin Smith. It continues Thursday night. I hope, and you can go 7:30 at the Miami Improv, and then Friday night at 7:30 and 10:30. Tickets are at miamiimprov.com. I can't thank you enough. It was a really entertaining morning for us, and
honestly,
I'm so happy for you.
I'm in Los Angeles, and that, you know, they were like 7 a.m. and I was like, yeah, all right. And generally, to be fair, I get up between 6 and 7 and like hang out with the dogs and go hiking with them or get writing done in the morning. So when I woke up this morning at 6, I was just like, what am I doing? And then I was like, oh, I have an interview at 7. This was like enjoyable, man. Like I ain't going back to sleep. I'm awake now. And you know, good conversation, good feelings, man. And I'm telling you, you gave a hell of a review to that thing you do. Like as a guy who makes films, and you know, I don't make films like Tom Hanks, of course, but Tom Hanks was a first-time filmmaker at one point in terms of like him directing. He's directed many things since then, but that was his first. And your first means everything. And years later, because this is decades, that happened. I remember I was going out with Joey Adams after Chasing Amy, or around Chasing Amy. So, and she was auditioning for that movie. So 96, 97. So it's coming up on 30 years for that flick. But for somebody to still reference it decades later, and you put it amongst greats, like, you know, you put A Godfather and what was the other one? A Few Good Men. That's massive. If I'm Tom Hanks, naturally, I'm probably walking around in life feeling accomplished. But hearing that, like somebody like go like, oh man, that thing you do, in the same breath with giant movies like that would be the review of a lifetime for me, decades on from when I started it. So your passion for that, just that one scene alone, bro. And granted, I got the benefit of Zoom, so I was seeing your face talk about it. Like you communicated all the power of cinema in just that description. And you made it personal when you were just like, I have had that moment. I've been responsible for playing people's music on it. That moved the hell out of me. So I'm definitely watching that movie today in your honor. Not like you're dead, but because you brought it up.
I'm not going to be able to do the rest of the show because I actually impacted Kevin Smith in some small way. I love you, man. You're the best.
Love you. Excellent seeing you. You look great. And thank you for having me.
Thank you, buddy. Likewise. Say hi to your wife.
Will do. As soon as you know what? I hear her. She's awake. I'm going to say, I guarantee you she woke up here in Coral Springs.